Hey everybody, Bill Miller here. I'm talking about emotional abuse, verbal abuse, and domestic or physical abuse from the side of the abuser, not the abused. I wanted to talk a little bit about what my little experience this morning. I went to a therapist, and it was something different, something I've never tried before. She put this band around my head, a band around my wrists, bands around my ankles, and ran this scan on my body that is supposed to kind of check for or scan for 7,000 different things. I don't know what all of them are. I know some are like grief, stress, tension. I don't know. I can't think of all of them, but just a ton of different things. And it was interesting. It was almost a 2-hour session. A lot of it based on that, and to be honest, the machine part of the therapy wasn't super interesting. I don't know that I would be a strong advocate for it. I did go in with a wide open mind. It just felt really generic, almost like, when you go see a psychic and she says, I feel like there's a John in your life. And you're like, oh yeah, no shit, who doesn't know a John in their life or something, but his mind showed like an extraordinary amount of grief and stress. But I feel like anyone that's seeing a counselor probably would have both of those things be quite prevalent. Which is why they're seeing a counselor or a therapist, So it was interesting, I guess, to do. Like I said, I had an open mind. I don't know that I would recommend it a lot, but I did. I really enjoyed the Trisha that was my therapist, and the conversations and talks. She's very, very peaceful and very easy to talk to and listen to. She was very relatable. And that was nice. And one of the things that we talked about that hit home with me was that, in listening to me, she said it feels like everything that you're doing, all the stuff that I do, the Choices program, these self-help videos and stuff that I listen to on YouTube or watch on YouTube, and these that I post on YouTube, that are kind of my self-therapy, the letters I write my wife every day, all the education I'm getting, everything is centered around my wife, and when she, in hopes that God brings her back into my life, and so when He does, I am 100% prepared. I have dealt with all of the demons from my past and released the anger and tension and uneasiness from my body, which I've done I feel like a really pretty good job of that. I do still have some sadness, and I have a little bit of uneasiness about dealing with a few things that I'm working through, but those things I don't feel like are causing a lot of I don't have a lot of anger from those things. I have a little bit of kind of abandonment issues and probably intimacy. I don't know about intimacy, but I'm very, when I get with, like with my wife, I just need attention, a lot of attention, a lot, all the time. And I know it's not healthy. But I also know that I crave it desperately. And it sounds like most of it is probably not having, much of that as a kid growing up. My dad was very, very businesslike, very strict, I guess, compared in today's world, like very strict, very businesslike. I don't know that I've ever really hugged my dad. Which is kind of weird to say, I've hugged my kids, thousands of times. it's annoying to them and they push me away, but I hug them anyway, and I force them to. But I don't know that my dad ever gave me a hug as a kid growing up, and then kicked me out of the house when I was 12 or 13 years old and sent me to enrolled me in military school. So those things are, I feel like very much contribute to my needing or craving affection and attention, because I don't know if I got very much of that as a kid. That being said, almost everything that I've been focused on this, for the past 6 weeks is all 100% on hoping to God that my wife, doesn't give up on us, and gives me a chance to show her that, this stuff is fixable in people. There's a reason, there are distinct reasons, legitimate reasons that I became the man that I became abusive. It's not something you choose to do. It's not something as a grown-up you wake up and say, what, I'm tired of being nice. I'm gonna start being mean to people that I love. There are reasons that you do it. And but what I kind of learned in counseling today is that, whether my wife comes back to me or not, I need to fix this. I need to overcome all of this and conquer, the ugliness from my past, from my childhood and younger adult life. I do it in hopes of her coming back, because I don't want to lose her. I don't want to spend the rest of my life wishing that I had her back, or wondering how amazing, how our life would have been together with me being, and the person that I am today. I don't want that. I want to show her every day how much, she means to me, how much I love her, how much I, have kind of figured out, what, who I was before and why, and how I've kind of overcome most of it, and I'm making strides every day. But the reality is, that actually is causing stress and anxiety inside me, which is what I'm trying to rid myself of all of this stuff, because none of that stuff inside of you, none of it is healthy. We all have it, to a point, to an extent. None of it's healthy. In excess, it's very, very unhealthy. It's very, damaging to your body physically and mentally and emotionally, which is for sure where I've been living in the past month. I'm very, I know everything that I'm doing is right. I'm thankful that I finally have been awakened to who I was, so I now am able to go through my life and fix it and take care of everything I need to take care of in order to be a legitimately healthy and happy person on the inside, and proud of who I am. I know all that is great, but there's still a lot of I don't have any self-esteem left. I don't have any confidence in them. Confidence is a bad one. I haven't been able to deal with, get past, accept all of the horrible things that I did as an abuser. That's a matter of me forgiving myself, which I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still pretty hard on myself. I shoulder all of the blame for everything that happened between my wife and I, because I don't know that I'm not 100% to blame. I know she was abusive to me. I know that there are hundreds of instances of abuse towards me, but I also know that I abused her, and I don't know if I turned her into the person that she became or if she just was that person, you know, if she had that in her anyway. All I know is I don't know how bad I hurt her, and so I'll never know if I'm the cause of all of her abuse, you know, of her abusive ways, or not. But the only way I can assume is that I am the cause. I'm the one that turned her, you know, like that made her, you know, go into into defense mode, like an animal backed into a corner. And so I do shoulder a lot of that. And you know, my quest to get better has completely focused on so I can be ready for when God brings her back to me. And it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure I'm putting on myself, to be fair. So this morning, the Trisha is her name, was just talking to me, and she's like, "Well, let me ask you this." She's like, "Say, Nicole, say your wife never comes back to you. Are you still gonna fix yourself?" And I'm like, yeah, of course, like absolutely. And she's like, "Well, then why are you worried about her? Like, why do you, like, that shouldn't even be a thought in your mind. Like, you're carrying so much tension on yourself. You're creating so much stress and shouldering so much to try to figure out who was responsible for what, and you know, and to make sure that you're perfect for when God brings her back to you, if he ever brings her back to you. But the reality is, you're doing this for yourself. Like, you're fixing yourself for you, because you don't know God's plan, and you know who you want to be, and that's all your focus should be. You know, like, I know who I want to be now. Like, I know for a fact who I'm working towards being, and who I want to be, the type of person that I want to be, the kind of person that I want to be. I know exactly. It couldn't be any more clear to me. And she's exactly right. I need to take the pressure of, you know, worrying every day or wondering every day if God's going to, you know, give me another chance at our marriage. And just realize that, you know what, no matter what God has in store for your future, you're going to fix yourself, and you know, like, that's all you really care about is fixing yourself, because God has his plan, and you know, you're not going to know his plan ahead of time. You're just going to, you know, it's going to work its way through. But and so that made sense to me. Like, I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't need to worry about that anymore. I can just focus on getting better, and if God brings her back to me, then he does, and if not, then that's obviously what, you know, was the plan, and I'm still going to make myself better, and I'm still going to be healthy, you know, and eventually maybe you know, there's a different person out there that I'm supposed to be with. You know, it's not anything I want to think about right now, but I know that all I care about right now is just focusing on myself and getting myself better, and letting go of the stress of and the worry of whether or not she's going to come back to me and give me another chance or not, you know, because I have to do this no matter what. So that was actually nice. That was worth the therapy, even though I wasn't a big fan of the machine. I feel like I took a step forward today in my recovery, knowing now I can wake up in the morning and just be the best version of me I can be. You know, I've still got a little bit. I've written her a letter. I still have some work to do tonight, if I can make it through. But yeah, I've kind of let go of that. You know, the hoping and wondering if she's coming back. You know, if I'm doing this for her, or myself, and the reality is no matter what, I'm going to do this, and when we do this, I feel like that's the only way that we can effectively do it, is if we're doing it for ourselves. And that's the same with me not drinking alcohol anymore. Like, I don't give a shit about what anyone thinks, whether I should drink or shouldn't drink, or what's healthy or not healthy. I'm choosing to not drink, maybe for the rest of my life. Right now it feels like probably for the rest of my life. I'm not going to say that, but I know it's not going to be a big part of my life. I know it's not going to be any part of my life right now. I don't foresee a day. I don't foresee a day where I'm going to decide, hey, now that you've gone through all this, self-help and therapy, and you've kind of started your life over on your own terms and become your own man, and created your own patterns and behaviors, now drinking alcohol is a good idea. I don't think that's going to be a thing. Like, yeah, hey, now that you're in control of your own life and decisions and behaviors and patterns, like, you should create this behavior and start drinking again, because it did so much, good for me in my past. Like, I should start that habit again, or like, anyway, I just, but that's who I'm doing that for me. Like, I'm not doing that because I need to, or I might need to, but I'm doing it because that's what I want for myself, and that's a decision I've made for myself, to become the person I want to become. Alcohol is just not a part of me. It's never done me any favors. It was something I did because I started doing it as a young child, and I never knew any better or thought about it. I just drank my whole life. And now that I'm going through this, I'm like, what? It does nothing for you. It does nothing other than cost you a shit ton of money. Get a DUI and see how much that costs you. Get drunk and make bad decisions with your wife, and become verbally, mentally, or physically abusive because you're drunk and you don't have your control. You're not in your right state of mind. Yeah, and tell me how great alcohol is, or why anyone would ever choose in their right mind to start using it halfway through life. You just wouldn't, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't, and I feel like, my wife is out there somewhere, and I haven't talked to her in a month. She might be out drinking tonight. It's a Friday night, and if that's the life that she's, going to choose, and if that's what she feels is, like her best path going forward, then even, then it might be me that decides, like, yeah, it's not something that I'm interested in anymore, because I'm not. Like, I'm not. I lost my wife because of alcohol. I lost her because of abuse, but I abused her because I drank that night and I couldn't control myself, and I lost her. And I would be the biggest idiot on earth to put myself in that situation again. So I've completely rid my brain and thought process of alcohol. I work in a bar. I'm looking at 100 bottles of liquor. Nothing. I've got nothing for it. It doesn't have a place in my life anymore. But I've decided that for myself. No one decided that for me. And that's the same with this, abuse, overcoming your abuse. You've got to do it for yourself. You want to do it for your wife. You don't want to do it for her. It's going to make her very happy. You're going to treat her 1,000,000 times better once you do go through this process and figure out why you were behaving the way you're behaving. You're going to have a much, much, much healthier marriage or relationship. And you're going to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be proud of who you are. Be proud that you overcame such a challenging thing. You'll have that for the rest of your life, and be proud as shit of it. But it does have to, you do it for you. Like, you do it because that's who you want to become. So that's kind of that. That was my step forward for the day. I've kind of dropped the hoping and praying. I'll still pray. I'll still pray that he brings her back to my life. But the focus of my getting better is definitely changed to just because it's who I know that I need to be and want to be. And if God has that path that He's going to bring her back to me, then I know I'll be ready. But I know I'm doing it for me. All right. I hope everyone has a great night.